Cleveland Browns finally mean business. The Cleveland Browns organization sent the sports world in a frenzy last night as they acquired superstar wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. And alongside with some of the other big moves they've made this offseason, this team actually looks on paper like it can be a Super Bowl contender. Ever since they fired Hugh Jackson, this organization has went from, like, I don't know, from 0 to 100 real quick. Is that like an appropriate place to use that line? I don't know, but nonetheless, the team looks a lot better now than what it did at the start of last year. And legitimately, I do believe this team could be a Super Bowl contender for this upcoming 2019 NFL season. And with all the moves that the Browns have made, today we're going to see what Madden 19 thinks the Browns are going to do next year. Does Madden 19 think the Browns actually have what it takes with all the superstar moves they've made this offseason? They think they have what it takes to actually compete for the Lombardi Trophy. Now, first of all, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think the Cleveland Browns record will be next year? Like, it's so hard to say, but at bare minimum, I would say it will be a disappointment if the Browns did not reach double-digit wins next year. Now, this is not to say the Browns don't have holes at this point. I mean, obviously now, since they did trade Jabril Peppers to the Giants, which, I mean, it was worth it, you know, getting Odell Beckham Jr. in return, but they need to fill the gap at safety, so they still have some things they need to do throughout the draft and whatnot. But with what the team has assembled up to this point, we're going to see what Madden thinks they're going to do this upcoming season. Now, this video is going to include every move that has been made this NFL offseason up to March 12th at 11 p.m. Central Time. So if you're watching this 3 p.m. tomorrow, there might have been some big moves in the morning, so it won't include that, unfortunately. But at this point, at 11 p.m., every player is added to their correct team in this connected franchise. Now, first thing we're going to do in this video is sim to the regular season and see where some of the bigger free agents end up after the preseason, because this is technically just going to be the first season of connected franchise. But you guys see some of the big moves that the Browns have made in this offseason. Since I am the Browns, it's just going to be the current Browns roster, so they're not going to sign anybody at offensive line. Their offensive line does look like a weak point, but with the stars they have around Baker Mayfield, this team could be deadly. Now, a lot of people have forgotten they have Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is a pretty good running back. Now, his whole case with the NFL is still pending, so he might be suspended for a couple games, might be suspended for 10 games, who knows? But since that's unknown, he will be the starter in today's episode at a 92 overall. And obviously, the Browns have Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, and they already had Nick Chubb and Duke Johnson. Now, I will say that Brashard Perriman was on this roster, but when Odell Beckham Jr. signed, there's something happened with that contract, and now he's a Buccaneer, so Brashard Perriman's not on this roster like he was. But on defense, they made a couple moves as well. Sheldon Richardson's been added. Olivier Vernon was traded for. They traded Kevin Zeitler, their guard. That's kind of why they have a little weak point at offensive line. More than likely, we'll sign somebody in real life. Now, here's another really big point in today's video, because this may or may not happen. The latest rumor is that Earl Thomas is going to be a Brown. You may or may not know for sure by the time this video is uploaded whether he decided to sign with the Browns or not, but it looks like everything at this point is pointing to him signing with the Browns by tomorrow, so I did decide to go ahead and add him to this team. Now, if he doesn't get added to the team, I guess it'll kind of even itself out with, like, the Browns in this franchise not adding any players at offensive line and linebacker potentially, but at the end of the day, I think it all evens itself out, but he looks like he is going to be a Brown. Now, secondary sick, defensive line sick, linebacker core is easily the weak point of the defense with this team. I mean, you compare this team to the Browns 2 years ago. Just 2 years ago, the 2017 Browns, their offense, Deshaun Kaiser, Corey Coleman, Isaiah Crowell, and that was pretty much it. That was their top 3 players on offense, and that's, like, disgusting. Now, who are the current free agents in the NFL at this point in time? The big boys, Le'Veon Bell. So we're going to see today where Madden 19 thinks Le'Veon Bell is going to be heading to. They were wrong. Yep, Madden was wrong. Literally 5 minutes before I sat down to edit this video, it was announced that Le'Veon Bell signed a big deal with the New York Jets. I think he ends up with the Broncos in this video, so nothing I can do about that. Now, once again, he might be signed by this time tomorrow, but we'll have to see. Tyler Eifert's a free agent, Ndamukong Suh, a ton of big guys. Justin Houston was just released the other day. I expect like a team like, I don't know, the Patriots to pick him up just because that's like a Patriots type move. And unfortunately, we're not going to be signing any of these free agents. We're going to let the CPU from the other team sign these players. And one other thing, something I can't like do anything about, since this isn't going to include the NFL draft, players like Nick Bosa and such are listed as free agents, so at least they're going to be added to some teams, so at least it makes things somewhat kind of realistic with some of the like upcoming NFL draft prospects. But that's one negative to today's video. Once again, the Earl Thomas thing, I believe, kind of like evens things out if he does not end up signing with the Browns. Now, with that said, first thing we are going to do is go ahead and simulate to the regular season and see where some of these free agents end up. But once again, in the comment section below, let's see who can get the closest. Number one, how do you think they're going to do in this simulation? Because Madden simulations are a lot different from real life. So how many wins do you think they're going to get today? I mean, we're only listed at an 82 overall. So, like, in terms of Madden, I would be surprised if this team didn't get... If the team got more than 11 wins in this Madden franchise, I would be shocked. Now, in real life, like I said, realistically, if they don't get more than 10 wins, I will be shocked. But let me know your predictions in the comment section below for both of those questions. With that said, let's go over to the transactions tab and see where some of these free agents sign. Let's see if we see any notable ones. Odell Beckham to the Seahawks. Gerald Hodges to the Lions. TJ Yeldon to the Seahawks. Might be able to see where some of these rookies went as well. They kind of technically could count them as being drafted by these teams, but they were just listed in the free agent pool in this particular roster. Now, Bruce Irvin to the Bears. Ryan Fitzpatrick to the Giants. That's a funny one. There's actually a Giants rebuild coming out on my channel later today. That's going to be an interesting one. Marshawn Lynch to the Panthers. Glover Quinn to the Dolphins. Demaryius Thomas to the Bucks. Julius Thomas to the Cardinals. This franchise has Kyler Murray to the Ravens, so that's just definitely not going to happen in real life. They probably did that because they needed a backup quarterback. Now, Clay Matthews to the Falcons. Derek Morgan goes back to the Titans, which I don't expect to happen at all. My Titan, oh, Le'Veon Bell to the Broncos. Danny Shelton signs with the Giants. That's a former Brown for today's video. Manti Te'o to the Falcons. Michael Crabtree to the Steelers, replacing Antonio Brown right there. Michael Opati to the Redskins. There's some Navarro Bowman still there with the Eagles this time. There's some players that we have not yet to see. Giants signed Randall Cobb, so there's their replacement for Odell Beckham Jr. Golden Tate to the Ravens. They've made some pretty big signings. Jared Cook to the Jags, Jonathan Cyprien to the Bears, Justin Houston to the Vikings, DJ Fluger to the Bengals, Ezekiel Ansah to the Raiders, Jay Ajayi to the Raiders, Ha Clint Dix to the Colts, Trey Boston to the Lions, Malcolm Brown to the Redskins, and Ndamukong Suh to the Steelers. They also got Ronald Darby, so they're getting better on the defensive side of the ball to potentially make up for their offense, which completely got gashed this offseason. Jason Verrett to the Dolphins, and that looks like it is about it. As you see, the Browns have signed head coach Freddie Kitchens to a 3-year contract. Now with this, it is time to officially see how Madden 19 thinks the Cleveland Browns are going to do for this upcoming 2019 season. I'm going to say, for this video's sake, 10-6. The moment of truth, and wow, I was actually pretty close to the Broncos of all teams with their new acquired quarterback in Joe Flacco are in the wild card round against who else? The Cleveland Browns. They didn't quite go like 16-0 or 15-1 like some people were predicting with this new roster, but 11-5 is still incredible, especially compared to how the Cleveland Browns have done for the past decade or so. I'm pretty sure any Browns fan out there, if you told them they were going to go 11-5 this upcoming season, they would be okay with it. But as you guys see here, they did win the division at 11-5. The Steelers, although they lost like half their team, still went 8-8, but I don't think they did make the playoffs. But look at some of the standings, because you got to keep in mind too, this is like with all the other moves across the NFL. The Falcons going 12-4, Chiefs 11-5, Patriots 11-5. Any real shockers here? Not really. Maybe the Broncos is probably the biggest shocker here at 10-6. The Packers back in the playoffs at 9-7. And it looks like everything else really is about normal. Titans 7-9, that's just about how we always are, freaking mediocre. Who had the worst record in the NFL? The Cardinals did a little bit better this year, 6-10. Dolphins didn't necessarily tank as much as they wanted to get Tua. Worst record in the NFL goes to the Buccaneers. And as you see here, the Raiders, with newly acquired Antonio Brown, they still suck. The Seahawks actually did really bad. That's kind of a shocker, 3-13. But according to Madden, Antonio Brown made a pretty big mistake because the Bills doubled their wins at 6-10, opposed to the Raiders at 3-13. The Browns with the second best offense in the NFL, and defense coming in at 8th. So the defense did a lot better than what I thought statistically. The offense did about what I expected. They scored the second most points in the NFL. That offense is disgusting, especially with the skill position players. I mean, if they can fix their offensive line problems right now, like, this team has the potential to have the best offense in the NFL, especially with how Baker Mayfield will develop into a second year. Insane. And Matt Ryan, if you guys watch my experiment videos, like, freaking Matt Ryan always wins the MVP. I don't know why, but he does. Tom Brady in second, as always. Phillip Rivers in fourth. Baker Mayfield did come in the top 10 at number 9. 4,100 yards, 36 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And talking about the bad O-line, only allowed 17 sacks, which is absolutely freaking insane. If you told me an NFL team only allowed 17 sacks, I would say they're taking some sort of banned substance, because that is pretty good. Rushing yard wise, Kareem Hunt, now keep in mind again, he's probably not going to play all 16 games. He'll probably be lucky to play 6. But once again, I think that's kind of even things out, having him play all 16 games and Earl Thomas playing all 16 games, even if he doesn't sign, because once again, they'll probably make some other signings this offseason, plus the players that they could potentially draft. Anyways, Nick Chubb, 12 touchdowns. They had 23 touchdowns on the ground. Now, receiving yard-wise, Odell Beckham, the lone receiver on the team with over 1,000 yards, had about 1,100 with 11 touchdowns, and David Njoku also had 11 touchdowns. And defensively, any new player showing out, looks like Joe Schobert led the team with 112 tackles. Somebody, Myles Garrett, with 21.5 sacks. And both of their new acquisitions on the D-line, Sheldon Richardson and Olivier Vernon, both had 10+ sacks on the team, which is mental. But now it's time to see if the Cleveland Browns in 2019 will make it to the Super Bowl. At least at this point, it's a vast improvement from the past decade. Can they beat the Denver Broncos? The Denver Broncos and Le'Veon Bell, and they do not. They get pretty much blown out, which this is actually kind of funny, because I just did an experiment video the other day, and they won the Super Bowl on their own without the new added players, with like the regular roster from last year. So once again, this kind of just shows you how dumb Madden is. But guys, with that is going to do it for today's Madden 19 experiment video. Let me know in the comment section below how you think the Browns are going to do this upcoming year. Now, it's kind of anticlimactic that they didn't make it farther in the playoffs, but at least they did make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure Browns fans would be happy with that. But are they going to make the Super Bowl? Are they going to play as well as they're hyped up to after all these moves? I have to see this year. But guys, that's going to do it. Subscribe if you are new. Drop a like if you did enjoy. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day. God bless and peace.